Johanna, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Becker?
Here.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Here.
Commissioner Blumberg?
I am here.
First on the agenda is the engineering report. Mr. Dennis, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Starting off as always with item A, which is our citywide dredging permit project. We've received a couple round of comments back from the DEP on this permit submission, the most recent of which was at the end of January. There were some comments on the actual dredge areas that we are proposing. We prepared a response. I think you took a look at it, right?
Yes.
And that went in on March 1st. So we're basically one more shot to kind of keep everything the way that it is as far as the actual dredge areas. Excuse me. We did finally have our pre-application meeting for Shelter Island. That was on February 21st. This was after a meeting that we had with, excuse me, after a meeting we had with the Army Corps and DEP. Were you at that one?
Yes.
You were? Okay. The guidance we got from the DEP was go talk to the Army Corps. So we had a meeting with the Army Corps and DEP. They told us to talk to the DEP. The DEP is now telling us to talk to the Army Corps. So, yeah, so we will follow up with that. And, excuse me, we'll follow up with that. And DEP is basically telling us that they're going to follow the Army Corps' lead as far as what they're going to require. This is the alternate dredge disposal site. So if we can get Army Corps to go along with what we're proposing, then DEP will kind of follow their lead. So that's the next step. And we, one of the things we needed to submit to the Army Corps is a copy of the report that Stockton did for the habitat study that they did at the dredge hole, which I think we do have in hand.
I sent it to Nicholas today.
Right. So we'll send that over to the Army Corps. Once they get that, then we can set up a meeting with them and get further guidance on how we move forward. So once again, you got the citywide dredging permit application that's on its own track, and then this alternate dredge site at Shelter Island that we're working on simultaneously. On item C, that's the additional flood mitigation work here at Old City Hall. We're all familiar with the timeline on this, where we had some funding from FEMA that was a little bit short when we originally bid the project. We have since received confirmation from FEMA that we have enough, we believe we have enough money to move forward with the project. So that project is out to bid, and the bids will be opened on March 9th. So we're moving forward with that bid process. Similarly, for the Wall of Fame project over at the Sig Rim Complex, that project is out to bid also with a bid opening on March 9th. So we'll be able to report on that at the next meeting. Item E is the 2022 state aid project, which is Winchester Avenue from Douglas to Exeter. And this was the project where we did receive bids. The bids came in high. We are going to revise the project to provide some alternate pipe material, which we believe was driving up the price, among other items. And then we will rebid this project. So this will be a fall project.
What time frame on that, Ed, please?
For Winchester Avenue? At this point, that'll be a fall construction project.
Okay.
Yep. Item F is the roof project over at the Margate Library. We bid this project twice. The bids came in over budget and over estimate twice. We did engage with a co-op who has done some work for some other roofs here in town, and they were able to come out. They had to do a nuclear scan of the roof over there to kind of match up what needs to be done with the alternate roofing system. We did get the results of that scan, and it did indicate that there are some areas of insulation that will need to be replaced. So what they will do now is they will update their quote that they gave us to include that work, and then we'll have a new price to consider for award to move forward with that roof replacement at the library. Item G is our ongoing work with the CRS program, which is the community rating system, and the flood insurance premium reductions that go along with that. You'll remember from last year, we were able to maintain our level 5 classification. We had a meeting this morning with Jim and Nick DeCosmo from my office. We came up with and you were there as well, I think, Roger. We had a preliminary game plan on how we're going to attack this. The goal is to potentially bring us to a level 4. So there's some additional points we need to get there. And so we're going to kind of go through where we're at points-wise, potential options on how we can gain some additional points, and then we will go from there, which is related to item H. the flood warning and response plan, which we're working on. We actually have a draft that's being reviewed now. That plan, in and of itself, is worth, I think, 315 points. But there's different levels of points you can get on any particular item. So, that plan could get us a long ways towards that level 4 classification. So that work is in progress. Turning the page to item I, the clerk's record storage room evaluation. We completed our site visit on the 24th of February last week. We're just preparing the evaluation report of findings and recommendations, so that should be ready for review shortly. Item J is the GIS hosting services, which really has been ongoing since we completed our GIS inventory of the city. This is just taking that database that we have and hosting it on the web so that it's more easily accessible from different devices, and it gives us a little more flexibility on the type of data that we can host there. Item K is our 2023 CDBG application. We submit every year typically for our beach bulkhead ADA access cut-throughs. We've been doing that for a number of years. We've discussed that at past meetings, and as discussed at the last meeting, we are submitting an application for Benson Avenue for the street end access cut-through on Benson, and that'll be one of the last locations where we have a straightforward cut-through project. So we're going to be sending that into the ACIA for approval. No updates under item L, which is our ongoing running list of pending grant applications. So you can see on the report we have a number of active grants, and a number of these projects are going to be part of the upcoming 2023 capital budget, so we'll get moving on a lot of these projects. Nothing under miscellaneous, so jumping down to our construction projects. We have no update for our open maintenance bonds. Next one is up in June. Our closeouts, we only have 3 projects on that list. There's a note for the Benson Avenue water tank. We did get back the 1-year anniversary inspection, and as a result of that inspection, we did identify a roof manway hatch that really needs to be replaced. So before we send Allied Painting on their way, we're going to have them do that work and replace that manway hatch, and then we'll be able to close out that contract. Item P is also over at the library. This is the HVAC project that needs to happen before the roof project, and unfortunately the shipping date has been pushed another 3 weeks to April 15th. It is a problem throughout the industry right now. We pressed Train, who is the manufacturer for this equipment, to give us some level of confidence that this isn't just going to happen in the next time, and they basically are telling us that they're monitoring it, and all they can do is pass along the shipment information to us. At this point, the equipment's been ordered. It's just a matter of getting and a lot of the prep work's been done over at the library, so it's just a matter of getting the equipment in and completing the project. So I hope to not have an update next meeting, and that we're just going to keep the shipment date at April 15th. Item Q is the municipal building renovations. So the latest and greatest update is that the millwork is nearly complete. The contractor was just waiting on some material for the windowsills. Hardware and doors are being installed. The last update I got was that the storefronts and the refinishing of the doors would take place next week. And with that, the contractor would be looking at a substantial completion sometime in mid to late March. That's the latest update we have on that schedule.
While we're on that one, Ed, can I ask a question? At the last meeting, Commissioner Blumberg talked about that noisy front offices.
Yep.
And I was there yesterday, and I knew you're not going to believe this, but it's still very noisy. Is there any progress on that?
We recommend earplugs. I'm just kidding.
I can't hear you. What did you say?
So I know that CM3, who was the contractor who did the HVAC, was working with Fred on some options. And I also know that Maxwell, who is the city's contractor, well, they're both the city's contractor, but did the renovation project, had a proposal. I haven't seen it yet. So I may not have seen that if it went to Fred, but I will check and see where we're at with that.
I have a further update there on that. There is a part, Eddie, I don't know if Fred spoke to you today, he's not on.
Your name and address, please.
Wow.
Turn it over.
Does this count towards my 3 minutes?
You have 3 minutes, yeah, project.
So,
It's gonna be a long.
yeah, Eddie, I don't know if Fred had a chance to speak with you today. I guess there's a part inside the unit that's making the most noise, that it's not working, it's broken, it has to be replaced. Roger, you have something on that too?
Yes, I did talk to Bob Gilmore about the same thing. Apparently, it's becoming unbalanced. Immediately, as soon as you readjust it, it becomes unbalanced again, so they're waiting for a part. And it's the pulley tensioner.
So CM3s,
Yes.
okay, great.
Roger, can I ask, is there an opportunity to put a VFD or something to retrofit that unit to slow I think the noise is due to the air that's
Yes,
pushing out.
That's the other option they're gonna do, is they're gonna turn the amount of airflow down, decrease that.
Okay.
Sorry, continue,
No problem.
please.
All right, item R is the 2021 road program, which is in a holding pattern. We have everything, all the utility work, concrete work complete. Road is base paved on Mansfield Avenue. In the spring, once the weather is a little warmer, we will be looking at final paving, and we'll also at that point in time mill and pave the police parking lot, which we added to that project as a change order. 2022 curb and gutter program is substantially complete. We did put together a punch list and submitted that to the contractor for them to complete, so we can move this project into closeout. Similarly, on Knight and Union for our bulkhead access, the project is substantially complete. We do have just a street light we need to get reconnected that we're working with Atlantic City Electric on, and then we can move that project into closeout. Item U is the water meter replacement program, and it's listed here as Phase 1. There was some discussion at the last meeting about whether or not we can move forward with Phase 1. I know Roger did reach out to the iBank. Don't think we got a definitive answer back yet, did we?
No, as typical, we get another question, but we responded to their question, and Lisa chimed in too, which I thought was very helpful. Hopefully, we can pull Phase 2 and Phase 1 apart from each other and move on with Phase 1.
Right, so we have an iBank application in process for Phase 2, which is the balance of the water meter replacement, but before that, we had Phase 1 fully funded using ARP funding. So the idea is to try to move forward, and I believe a contract was awarded to move forward with Phase 1. Item V is the tennis court reconstruction project, which was awarded to Shore Top Construction. We had a pre-construction meeting today. And we also had a pre-construction meeting for item W, the 2022 road program, which was awarded to El Ferriazzi Concrete. So both those projects are looking to get started. There was some discussion at the pre-con for the road program on whether or not the contractor could work a little further into the spring, try to knock it out.
Yep. So
Right.
I wanted to bring that
Yep,
up
go ahead.
because we need to vote from the three commissioners.
Sure.
So during the meeting today, the general contractor been very aggressive. As long as he can, the notice to proceed is scheduled for March 6th, if I understand
Right,
correct.
Monday.
That if he could get his materials in line and his subsurface utility contractor is willing to come in, they feel they can knock it out if they could go towards the middle to
Of
June 20th.
Yeah.
So I think it would be a good move to get base paving in before there, because that street carries a lot of water in the gutters 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it causes mosquitoes and
Right.
a lot of green stuff growing.
So just for a little more context, the way it was bid was that the contractor could come in, do some of the work before the summer and some of the work after the summer, on the condition that they would completely finish whatever they do in the spring, so it's done, and then start back up in the fall. But the contractor believes they can get everything done if we let them work into the middle of June.
June 20th, yes.
Right, which is around when school lets out.
And I support that, if they can get it done.
I'm good with that, Marty. Well,
Good by me.
Done.
That's your
Okay.
answer.
There we go. All right, we will pass that along to the contractor. And then the last project on the list is over at the Sigrib Complex, which is the replacement of the batting cage. And we have a pre-con needs to be scheduled for that. We're just waiting for the contracts back from the contractor. And that is my report.
Thank you, Ed. Any questions for Ed? Marty?
Nope.
John?
One question, if we go back to our, let me see, our pending grant applications, Ed, is it my understanding that $306,620 that was awarded to us for that painting of the lanes, how much money, do we have to need capital to complete that project? What was your estimate on that?
I don't believe so. I'd have to,
I thought it was for the full cost.
well, it was, and what we're looking at is, there's a couple different options, we believe, on how we might be able to use that grant. We were looking at whether or not we wanted to paint the entire lanes, or whether or not we just wanted to paint the approaches to the lanes with the different color, which we're leaning towards, and if we do it that way, then we would just size the projects so that it fit within the grant. That's how we would do it.
Yeah, I believe Ed and I have had conversations about that, whether,
I don't think we need the whole thing done.
No,
Just
like, and that's-
30 foot as
that's
you
what we-
approach the one-way
Yes.
street, or the
As we
street.
approach the streets on the street ends,
Yeah.
as we talked about, I think it would let the drivers know not to pull into that lane, which is
Yes.
a good visual marker, to try to make that, because that's some of the complaints we had of the road diet,
Yeah.
cars going in, but that'll be an actual visual observation. You can see the green, the high visibility green paint, which a lot of municipalities do. And if you go to Florida, there's a lot of states that do it already, so it's a good look, and that's what Ed and I have discussed previously.
Is that your
Yes.
recommendation, Chief?
Yes.
Cool. I'm good with that, Maureen.
And last question would be, could we do it before this season? Since we have the grant?
Potentially, the availability of that paint material, believe it or not, sometimes is an issue. That was the issue, if you remember when we were trying to get this done before, we got a price to do it before we closed out the original job, and we couldn't get the paint.
So you think it'll happen in the fall?
We'll see if there's a realistic possibility, we could shoot for the spring, but if not, it'll be the fall.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, guys?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. At this point, we'll go to Mr. Mosca, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have the one item for now. The emergency alert testing schedule has come out, so it's completed quarterly. The first one is March the 8th, and I don't know if either one of the chiefs want to chime in, too. March 8th, behind Fire Station 1 and Fire Station 2, as well as the batting cages on Jerome Avenue. So it'll be a approximately 3-minute message that goes out over the speakers. Like I said, it's March 8th. The other dates are June 14th, September 13th, and December 13th, but the first one is March 8th. I don't know if you guys want to...
Well, this is one thing we might want to consider. After we've done some of these tests in the past, I know there has been some outreach. We've tried to put it out on social media. We try to put it out on the website, but there are times when people hear the alert system and they're kind of shaken by it a little bit, and there has been a request I've heard, could we possibly do a phone blast that we've done in the past, just to alert residents that there will be a test of the system, because a lot of people do use that. So it's just something I wanted to bring up as we move forward with this testing. Do we want to do a phone blast before we do it, just to add another layer of notification to the residents? So I'll leave that up to the mayor and the commissioner, what they want to do.
Much as I'm against phone blast, I think you should in this case. I really do. It's not the most efficient way to reach people, but it helps. And John,
Yep, I'm gonna...
Maury,
Good by me.
okay.
It'll be on all of Margate social media as well, so that
Okay.
we'll get it
Ken,
from all
you'll do the
directions.
phone blast, I assume.
Give it a shot, Mayor. That's all I have for now.
Anything else, Ken?
That's all for now, Mayor. Thanks.
Okay, we'll go to,
That's next week?
The 8th,
Next
yes,
week?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's Wednesday, I believe.
we'll go to department head reports. Lisa, would you like to begin today, please?
Certainly. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. A few things, just to add to what Commissioner Amadeo was just asking about regarding Atlantic Avenue. In the one capital ordinance scheduled for introduction later today, there is $396,000 funded in that project, which includes the amount of the grant, but we do have to appropriate the funding because we need a spending mechanism in order to do so. Once we receive the actual funds from the grant, then it will reduce the amount of debt that needs to be authorized. It'll be offset in the future, okay? So just so you know, it's in that ordinance, and then, but later on, it will be reduced by that amount. So in regards to the two capital ordinances being introduced, I just want to let you know that the supplemental debt statement that's required is on file in the clerk's office, and after authorization for the ordinances at today's meeting. I will submit that along with the ordinances to the state tomorrow as required. In addition to the grants that you were mentioning, I followed up with Jim Rotella last week to see what the status was of the $50,000 recreation grant we applied for the SIG Rim Complex restrooms. And he said it's probably going to be another month or two before we hear anything on that. So that's still in the works. I want to give you an update on our Prime Point system. And, you know, in addition to payroll, we also authorized them to implement an HR portal to handle our recruitment and onboarding for employees, which will greatly simplify the process. So for right now, the recruitment process, which will be where it will handle anyone submitting applications, employment applications, that's complete, up and running, and Kelly in the HR office is doing a great job with that and making sure everything is being worked out. There is a link on the city website for anyone who wants to submit an employment application. I'm not saying that there's availability, but there is a link on the website if anyone's interested in submitting an application, and everything's done online and it goes directly to the city. The separate component to that is for the onboarding, which is once an employee is hired, that will handle all the paperwork that's necessary to actually get the employees set up. So there's still a few things being worked out there, but it's going well. In addition to that, I reached out to Chief Adams and the Beach Patrol and the Rec Department so that we can begin preparing to handle all the seasonal hires, because you know our payroll, the amount of employees like double in the summer. So that's being worked on, so hopefully we'll have everything worked out by the end of March so that we're ready for when those applications and rehires start coming in. That's it. That's all I have for you, unless you have questions.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay,
Good
thank
job.
you.
Ken, anything?
Yes, Mayor, just a couple, sorry. Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things. You'll see a Resolution 62 is for the LEAP grant study with Atlantic County. It does not obligate the city of Margate to anything. It's for the study for countywide emergency dispatch. It doesn't obligate Margate. It just kind of supports, let's do the fact finding. Let's see what's out there. I don't know if Chief Adams has a comment with that. I know I've talked a lot about it.
Yeah, I just want to elaborate on that. All it is a feasibility
Right.
study to see whether or not it is a worthwhile project for fire and EMS for future county dispatch. It only includes fire and EMS, and at this point in time, it's only a study to gather all the records and information from the municipalities to assure that
Right,
it could
and
go
it doesn't
in the right
obligate
direction.
Margate to
There is
participating, even if it's a
zero
program
obligation.
that the county moves forward on.
And as I spoke to you, and I also, made it clear to Chief Hankinson, there's reservations I have across the board.
Right.
But I support the concept because there's a lot of municipalities that are interested in the study to see what the outcome would be.
No, I think it's a very important study to see what's out there, and obviously Margate has done a great job with its own dispatch for many years. So, but it's a good process to go through. Last one is another LEAP grant for a pothole machine. Again, does not obligate the city of Margate. I did meet with Frank, and I don't know, Frank, if you want to chime in, and Pat. Be a really great machine for the city of Margate. It'd be a shared service with the city of Atlantic City. Again, does not obligate Margate, but the benefits, if it does work out, would be really strong for the city. And that's, unless there's questions, that's it. Yep, thanks, Lisa. Resolution 69, we need to move forward on the tax maps. Remington and Vernick and Eddie, I don't know if you had anything more on that, but that's on the agenda for today as well. Updating the tax maps.
Thank you, Ken. Any questions for that, guys? Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few quick things. First of all, if you'll notice around town, we're actually starting to get ready for the summer. You'll see traffic maintenance out and about, repainting the curbs to remind people in the summertime for the parking that we have and the parking restrictions we have now. not parking too close to the curbs, Val from traffic maintenance, CC starts early, making sure stop signs are up, making sure everything is high visibility to our summer visitors, also our residents, especially as we get more and more congested, as we all know as summer comes along. Also, you'll see a resolution for the Cherry Blossom Festival. It's going to be a one-day traffic diversion. It's actually a very simple diversion off of Ventnor Avenue. I think Captain Ron Cashin has had a meeting with the NBA today regarding the Cherry Blossom Festival. It's the first year for it. Looks like it's going to be a really nice event. So again, it'll be a minor inconvenience for Sunday afternoon, but it'll all work out well. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Ed, anything else?
Nothing additional.
Thank you. Roger?
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. A couple things. One is every month we get a zoning and construction office planning report, and it's still going pretty strong. I just want to point out that when people are maintaining a porch or an item that's already there, we waive their fee across the board unless they're expanding it. I think that's a courtesy that you've extended to all homeowners, whether they live here or not, to maintain their properties in a correct fashion. Also, planning board meeting last week was pretty interesting. Rich Halfant came in, provided a presentation to the planning board, which they found pretty interesting and supported. And I believe there's a hearing tonight at 6 o'clock. Public hearing is required by Green Acres. So I'm sure that's going to be a lot of Q&A probably available at that hearing. I think that's important for the public to understand. Also tonight, there's a resolution, consent agenda, just one item for the ice cream vending. This coming season is season 2 of a 3-year, 1-year contract, 3 one-year contracts. The city made out pretty well with this contract, so I recommend awarding that. It's the second year of a 3-year proposal. And also, there is an authorization to approve Camden County Educational Service Commission contract vendors. We list all the contract vendors in there. Just so it's like a shopping list of needs that Frank has, or Public Works or Fire Department. They can use this co-op and pick out items they have in there. And as long as we approve it, the bidding process is already done for us, so it saves a lot of time and money. And that's it at this time.
Thank you, Roger. Jim?
Good afternoon. The smart meters are being installed around the electric meters in the last 2 weeks. I think they pretty much got half the town done. It's the CCI trucks, the ones you're seeing driving around. We've had one instance where they took the meter out and the whole guts came with it. When I mean guts, it's the part where the meter sits inside the box. Were so rusted, they actually did not the meter came out with the wire attached, which caused a interruption in electrical service. Atlantic Electric immediately jumped on it. They gave them a new service, a new electrical meter, and an electric meter service box. We don't see any problem with that. I've gone with it with Pat, our new inspector. He's been with those guys, talked to a few of them, how they have protective gear, the mask, the gloves, and if anybody has any questions, please reach out to our department or call Atlantic Electric, which is the primary source of the installs for the smart meters. We are now moving forward with a new software for inspections. It's called Spatial Data Logic, SDL. It'll provide a portal on our website that you'll be able to access your permit when you submit. So instead of calling the 822-1974 number, you'll go to the website, hit the citizen portal. It'll take you put your address in, and it'll take you to the permit, and it'll give you a process where it is. Is it in plan review, where you are in plan review, after plan review, and the permit's issued. You'll find out the status of your inspection. Did you have inspection done? Did it pass? Did it fail? Pretty simple. Now we don't have to go through the calls that come in. Did my inspection pass or fail? You can now go to the website. It's going to be a time saver, and then also more information was going to be available to the applicants, and the builders and the owners. Limited information, because I know the Daniels Law requires certain names to be redacted. We'll make sure they're redacted. We have a redaction personnel in our office, who is Gina, who will make sure that that information is not allowed to go out. The other thing is March 6th, next Monday, new building codes go into effect. They're pretty restrictive. You will start to see a couple of changes, but not drastically. The most drastic is the energy code. The insulation in the attic went from a R38 to now it's going to an R60. So if you imagine snow, think of it as 18 inches of snow to 24 inches of snow. And that's how you would look at it with insulation. That's all. Oh, and the flood development permit application is now available on our website if anybody needs to fill out a substantial improvement project on our future project in the city. And you will need that to fill out. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jim. Frank?
The beginning of next week, we're having our surplus vehicle auction. We have 4 vehicles we're going to auction off through gov.com. And we've been out at the ball field. We've taken all the lights out of the trees. The trees are being trimmed, and we're going to get prices to replace the lights in the trees. The lights are over 20 years old, and they were in really bad shape when we took them off. We were out at Firehouse 1. We were doing electrical work in there. We were fixing some of the lights that were out. We were also out at Firehouse 2. Our carpenter built a wall upstairs to house the air conditioning unit, and there was also some electric around there. We were on the beach. We fixed the steps at Cedar Grove Avenue. We had 3 water leaks. We installed 2 meters. We had 5 asphalt jobs and 2 cement jobs over the past 2 weeks. We also installed new snow fencing in front of the high rises because of the wind that whips around there, really beats them up bad. We did that this week. And next week, we're going to start putting our sweepers back out on the street because the weather's been so warm, and we don't have to worry about freezing up. That's all I have.
Good job, Frank, as always. Chief Adams?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things. One, we've had the opportunity over the last couple weeks to utilize homes that were being demolished and for fire training skills, and it gives us an opportunity to get in there and actually perform the tactics and different things that we would perform in normal operations, but in a training environment. But our smoke machine is so powerful and so strong that the visibility is next to zero. And, the one night they were out training, they ventilated the building afterward, and it pretty much covered Atlantic Avenue. So I'm sure we got a few calls for that. Which segues into, you may be around town smelling smoke. It is that time of year where the Forest Fire Service does controlled burns. It comes to our area, and even the other day, there was even some ash floating through Margate. So you will see that. Don't be alarmed. It's normal. It's just a matter of the way the wind and air currents flow that it ends up in our area. Thank you to Public Works for taking care of the few projects they took care of for us. It's greatly appreciated and saves the city of Margate tons of money when we're able to, cooperatively work in departments to take care of that kind of work. We had a small fire on Sunday, and I do attribute, and I'll say it once again, and you guys know I speak about it all the time, the fact that we have 2 fire stations in town is unbelievable for our response times, and it makes a response time to any residents in the city of Margate in anywhere from 2 to less than 3 minutes on this. In this case, they were there in about 2 minutes, and a small fire, which could have immediately gone into something a lot bigger, was able to be handled very quickly. And it's because of that response time and having the 2 fire stations that enables us to provide that level of protection. And lastly, our firefighters on duty and off duty will be out at Thai School tonight, assisting them with the annual dodgeball tournament. That's all I have for the fire department. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I skipped over who saved you for last.
You saved the best for last.
The best for last.
As you know, as we all anxiously wait, we have our mandated Green Acres public hearing for the Lucy project or their interpretive center. That'll be at 6 o'clock tonight. We have followed to the T all of their procedural requirements. You'll recall we had a special sign requirement, a special newspaper notice requirement. We will have our availability to record the meeting. We're going to have to give them a transcript. of the public hearing that's going to be held 6 o'clock. I understand many of their Lucy Committee people will be coming here. They'll have their professionals. They'll have Tommy Sykes, their architect, and it should be a nice presentation that they'll push that forward. So 6 o'clock tonight. I see we have Resolution 64 of 2023, which regards outdoor dining. And I just wanted to comment on this because I've had a couple other people from other cities comment. You know, Margate, by this, we are authorizing people to serve food, serve alcohol on the adjoining properties, serve alcohol on the sidewalk. And Margate was really a leader during the pandemic, and when things got shut down, where we allowed our restaurants and bars to utilize adjoining properties. And at first, there was some criticism on this. I mean, let's face it, some people weren't happy. But the good news is all those businesses have survived the pandemic. You can't say that for all the other towns in New Jersey that had to shut down those businesses. So it's something I'm very proud of you guys and proud of us that we did that, and that actually towns looked to us to see how to do it and what we were doing, particularly with the liquor license aspect. We actually interacted with the head of the ABC on how to do that, with allowing them to use parking lots and whatnot. So it's something I'm very proud of, and it's something when I see other towns, not so much sure where the businesses closed. They just couldn't make it because of the mandated closing, and they couldn't serve outside. And you think of all those jobs, all those people, waitresses, bartenders, cooks, everybody, and that you guys were considerate that. You thought about not just the owners of the business, but the employees. And so something I'm very proud of. I think you ought to be very proud of it. What else do we have? Third thing, things seem to be working pretty well with our new city administrator. It's a pleasure so far. No,
So far.
it's
Day 34.
so
Mr. Abbott, thank you.
that's it. We're getting there. Is that what you are? 34 days in?
I just threw that out.
Okay. Well, whatever. And I think that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Scott.
Okay.
Okay. At this point, we'll open. Johanna, how could I forget?
You
Johanna?
did save the best for last.
Yes.
Okay, I would like to remind everyone that the municipal election is May 9th. The closing time for submitting petitions is Monday at 4 p.m. Nothing will be accepted after that. District 3 and District 4 will be voting over at the Thai School where they enter from Monmouth Avenue. Other than that, all is well in the clerk's office.
Well, thank you, Johanna. I apologize again.
For saving the best for last?
Okay, of course. I didn't want Scott to be jealous, though.
Never jealous of that.
At this point, we'll open for public comment. If you'd like to speak, come to the microphone, please. State your name and address. You have 3 minutes. We can discuss anything that was discussed here at this meeting. Is there any public comment? Is there a motion to close public comment?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
John, you have any comments?
Nope.
Marty?
I don't have any comments. I have one quick question for the team. I noticed, I want to say yesterday, traffic light out on Brunswick and Atlantic. I'm wondering if we know, and did we get it fixed yet?
That's forwarded to Mike McElroy. He takes care of all of our lights on Atlantic Avenue.
So we're on it, right?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
We don't miss a beat. Good job. Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
Thank you all for being here. We will reconvene at 4 o'clock.